Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome all of you to the September 15th regular meeting of Council. I'd first like to recognize that we are gathered on the traditional territory of the Snuneymuxw First Nation. Our clerk tonight will be Ms. Sheila Gurry. All of Council is present. We have no one attending electronically. Tonight's regular meeting of Council is being held in accordance with the Community Charter and Council Procedure Bylaw number 2018, number 7272. If during the meeting any member of the gallery has a question regarding an agenda item, please write down your name and the agenda item on the question period sign-up sheet on the table by the double doors to my left. Please note that the Council Procedure Bylaw has been changed and states that questions will only be taken on staff reports, consent items, or other business items. We have a very limited public audience tonight, so knowing all of those present, I can safely dispense, I think, with any warning about the need for decorum in council chambers. Which is always a nice thing to be able to say. The first item on the agenda is the introduction of late items, Ms. Gurry, and we have a few, please.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship, and good evening, Council. For late items this evening, we have agenda item 8A, the addition of the PowerPoint presentation titled The Island Corridor. For item 12C, we have the addition of a report titled South End Cleanliness. For 12D, Telecommunications Facility, we have a delegation from Chad Marlett, Director of Government Affairs, Cypress Land Services. And agenda item 14A, Correspondence, we have a late addition on behalf of the City of Campbell River, a letter from their consultant, Counterpoint Communications, regarding endorsement of op-ed on advocacy for development of BC's natural resources. So again, that's on behalf of the Mayor of Campbell River, looking for a letter of support from the Mayor. And that's it, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. Motion for adoption of the agenda is amended. Moved Councillor Thorpe, seconded Councillor Perino. All those in favor? Any opposed? None. We have no minutes to adopt. Mayor's report. I've got a couple of items. A little reminder for everybody that we're open until September 26th for applicants for the new board member for the Board of Variance. Residents interested in becoming involved with local government have the opportunity to apply to the Board of Variance. The City of Nanaimo is currently recruiting only one member right now for a 3-year term. Successful applicants for the board should have a basic understanding of building and zoning regulations such as the City's zoning bylaw and BC Building Code, as well as familiarity with interpreting architectural plans and documents. Board members cannot be elected officials, employees of local government that appoints them, or sit on an advisory planning commission. Applications can be filled out online or picked up at City Hall at 455 Wallace Street. Interested residents can submit a completed application to the Legislative Services Department up to and including, as I said, on September 26th, 4 p.m. I'm now happily going to turn a portion of the Mayor's report over to my friend Councillor Thorpe, who has done yeoman work as the city's representative on the board of the Local Games Society. And I just, before he starts, just want to say to him on behalf of council and the citizens, a very sincere thank you for all his work and his expertise. They don't let him write the Thorpe report every week for nothing in the local paper. I'm, again, much appreciative of all that was undertaken. It is a very time-consuming job. And over to you, Councillor Thorpe.
Turn on my microphone. There we go. Thank you very much, Your Worship, for those kind words. And I just wanted to take a moment, if I may, to acknowledge that, as I'm sure most of our listeners or viewers are aware, the Nanaimo 55 Plus BC Games concluded here in town this past Saturday. Games President Diana Johnstone does plan to attend a future council meeting in October to provide a summary report. But in the meantime, as council liaison to the Games, I just wanted to comment publicly that, in my opinion, the Games seem to be an absolute unqualified success and a wonderful showcase for our city. We had approximately 2,700 participants, along with their supporters and families here in our city. So a great spin-off for tourism and a great promotion for everything that we have here in our wonderful city. I heard numerous very gratifying positive comments about our sports facilities, about our city in general, and certainly also about the friendliness of our citizens. So that really made me feel great, and I think we should all feel very proud of our community. I need to also, Your Worship, point out, of course, that the Games would not have been possible without the leadership from President Johnstone and her board of directors, and also for their team, the team they put together of approximately 1,100 volunteers in our city. Without the support of our city staff, the games would not have happened, and our staff were tremendous, and I want to acknowledge that publicly. And of special note, the staff liaison to the games was Grace Bell, did an excellent job, very dedicated and cooperative, and she was simply invaluable to the organizing committee. So well done to everybody. Thank you for all of the work that the organizers did, that the volunteers did, and congratulations also to the participants from our local area. We certainly had a fair number of Nanaimo residents take home very beautiful medals. Thanks, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, Councillor Thorpe. The next item is presentations, and we have Thomas Bevan, the Chief Executive Officer of the Island Corridor Foundation, read the state of Island Corridor and opportunities. Mr. Bevan, good evening and welcome. The floor is yours, sir.
Good evening, Your Worship. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Well, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much, Council and Mayor. I'm Thomas Bevan, the CEO of the Island Corridor Foundation and a registered professional planner. And yeah, I've been having a fantastic time over the past year and a half in this new role, coming to it from a housing background. And so I just wanted to give you a quick update today of how things are going with the Shared Vision project, a couple developments down south, and how I see potential relationship to Nanaimo and this amazing place that I live in. Next slide, please. Oh, yeah, great. So the Shared Vision project is an $18 million program that's being sponsored by the Ministry of Transportation and Transit, and our members, the 5 regional districts and 14 First Nations, have been studying what is going to come of the corridor. We had a very important all-parties meeting in this building actually a few months ago that was all of the members coming together, expressing their thoughts, opinions, and histories on the corridor, and it is very apparent that there's different priorities in different places, and that's something we've really taken to heart at the ICF, and that we have to be regionally relevant. So in the meantime, we are continuing to work with councils up and down the island and trying to make our corridor relevant, whether or not that be for utilities or transportation or other things. And it's been so wonderful to get to know these communities. Recently, we went to Hamilton. Minister Chrystia Freeland invited us, and we were there with all the heavy hitters from Alto and Metrolinx and the steel bosses, and it was very exciting, and the atmosphere was made in Canada. And I said, we might be little, but we're still important over here on Vancouver Island. And they were really encouraging and were very well briefed on the corridor. So I'm very happy to report that the federal government is communicating with us. Next slide, please. And like I said, the 14 First Nations are also our member reps, and extremely important to this Shared Vision process, and particularly in the context of the corridor, which is the colonial history of this island, and so much of this island was taken to create the corridor, and the nations are not happy about that. And so we at the ICF have committed to reversion where reversionary rights apply. That's a motion from several years ago now, and we have a reversion committee to advance those topics for the nations whose lands are bisected by the corridor, and that's a very particular and sensitive topic that we're very committed to at the ICF, and also trying to find ways that other future uses can still work, potentially in only regionally specific ways, or potentially there's opportunities for realignment around nations who have bisected reserves. So that's all currently undergoing work right now. Next slide, please. And just again, a refresh on where we are. We go from Courtenay to Victoria to Campbell River. We are the linear spine of this island. I think 80% of Vancouver Islanders live within 20 or 10 kilometers of this corridor. And yeah, it is important as this island starts to become more dense, more urban, more bottlenecks on the Malahat, or getting to Port Alberni can be very challenging too. What are we to the future is our question. Next slide, please. And so the thing that I'm most passionate about is planning, and come to this from a planning role. And I see this as a planning opportunity, and I say the best transportation plan is a good land use plan. And so that's a lot of how I view the Shared Vision project and how we can be relevant to the future. Next slide. And so down south, we've been working with the CRD and some of the nations there, and working with a consultant, Perkins and Will, and trying to figure out a recipe. And this is something of a working draft of what we're finding down south in the Langford area, and having a consolidated, thoughtful pattern of a corridor that serves whether or not it's road movement or trail movement, bike movement, green movement of water and other flows of natural space. And so all of these things put together is what I think in many areas, particularly urban areas, the corridor can be. Next slide, please. And this is a little sketch, again, very much draft form, and thinking about what does this corridor look like if we find it again, if we come into relationship with the corridor and not have it as such a kind of barrier, but it's more of a thread that pulls things together, pulls urbanism together. And this is what we're talking about in potentially downtown Langford for an LRT streetcar system. Next slide, please. And another inspirational project that I would like to point people in Nanaimo to is the Beltline in Atlanta, and how transformational this project has been to a traditionally quite suburban town. And yeah, it has become the circular spine or circular heartbeat of the city of Atlanta. And it is currently only a trail, and it was an old freight right-of-way, but there's very much plans for transportation to be very much part of it, having future light rail, and that's all embedded in the future proofing of this corridor. Next slide, please. And that's a bit of a vision there. There's lots of stuff on YouTube if you want to learn more, but it's just so important to future-proof corridors like this, and that means having sufficient space for many things, whether or not it's at-grade LRTs like we see here, potentially even elevated SkyTrains like we see in Vancouver along the old interurban corridor going out to Burnaby and New Westminster. But space is so important, and we have to protect for that space where it's appropriate. Next slide, please. And so that brings me to Nanaimo, and my home, and this incredible city that is being actively planned for a new urban future, and places that people can live, work, and play. So fantastic to see, but I would just really encourage how can the corridor be part of that? And I think right now the corridor is a bit light in planning policy, and I would look for some assistance from council and staff as we go forward in this shared vision project to really see opportunities where the corridor can be very relevant to the land use and transit-oriented development plans of Nanaimo. Next slide, please. And this is where the corridor is currently active, and so perhaps if you would have some type of, say, people mover, like a Bombardier Flirt vehicle that they did in Ottawa for phase 1 of the Trillium Line, that could be possible in quite short order in this blue area. And next slide, please. In other areas, it could also be possible, whether or not it's going to new neighborhoods like Sandstone or Chase River, where the community center is set to be, or in other TODs that are already underway, like Country Club, and the last one potentially being Woodgrove. And next slide, please. Woodgrove is a really interesting one. It is it's so close, but it's so far away. The corridor is in pink here, and your staff and teams are working so hard to reimagine Woodgrove. It's wonderful to watch. I'm so excited for the future of this town center. But how could the corridor be part of that? And I think good policy can future-proof, so whatever happens on the island corridor can be relevant to the linear spine and future of Nanaimo. So with that, I'll answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Councillor Perino, please.
Thank you, Worship. Just a quick question to Mr. Bevan. Thank you for being here. Good to see you the other day. I'm wondering if you can tell me, when you think of LRT trains, we're thinking strictly passenger trains. Is that what you're thinking, or is there any possibility of freight train? Just wanted to hear more.
Yeah, the shared vision project hasn't precluded anything. I do think that in terms of relationship to cities, LRTs are much more kind of quiet and integrated, and so they do run on the same gauge of track. And so in Kitchener, my old hometown, the Ion Light Rail actually also has partly its use on a freight line as well. So the two can go together, but whether or not the corresponding safety requirements and other types of externalities also dovetail is a question.
Okay, and the only other question I have is any idea the cost, where it would be at today?
That would be a next step of a business plan, and we have been making excellent progress down south in the CRD, and we'll be undertaking work there on putting together a proposal of cost. We haven't got to that state in Nanaimo, but one place that might be relevant, be it a little outdated, is Ottawa, and their phase 1 LRT for the Trillium line I mentioned. That was, forgive me, I might get the date specifically wrong, but 2003, I think. That was a $23 million phase 1 project on a former freight line going from the LeBreton Flats to Carleton University, 8 stops, and from idea to first service was 2 years. It was an incredible project of just what is the most simple, least expensive first step. And so is that something that a town that hustles like Nanaimo would like to see? Maybe.
Okay, good, thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Thorpe, then Councillor Eastmere.
Thanks very much, Your Worship. If I may, through you, thank you, Mr. Bevan, for being here and for your succinct presentation. We appreciate it. In my personal opinion, the Island Corridor is just such an extremely important transportation spine on the island with so much potential, a lot of challenges, but I wish you all the best in your efforts to move it forward. My question is very similar to that of Councillor Perino. She beat me to it. Your presentation seemed to focus mainly on moving people, and I wondered if you had had any conversations with the Port of Nanaimo, the Port Authority, regarding the importance of moving freight to them, especially from the Duke Point area.
Definitely, we've been in communication with the Port of Nanaimo and the Port of Port Alberni, and those are two potentially very important places for the future of the West Coast. And could the corridor connect those for freight purposes? It is an option, but most importantly, it's the nations. And Snanas Nation up in Nanoose, they own that area of land where the rails have been taken up. And Snuneymuxw here has a lot of interaction with the rail line, and they also have strong interest, I believe, in the Duke Point expansions, and so potentially a partnership could happen. I think that would be the only way it could happen. So we're open for everything, and if freight is indeed part of the business case and the nations are into it, absolutely, or if it's more of a people-focused urban project, that's okay too.
Great. Could be a great opportunity for economic development to benefit all. Again, thank you very much for your work.
Thank you. Councillor Eastmere, then Councillor Manley.
Thank you. Through you, so when you're talking about future-proofing and our transit-oriented development zones, what would you say how can we best future-proof so that we can functionally connect to the island corridor?
Yeah, thanks for that. I think it's about being clear and having policy that says we see transportation on these lands. Maybe it's in 5 years, 10 years, hopefully in my lifetime. And we need to plan accordingly. And so say, for example, Country Club, where the TOD policy through city plan review is happening right now. Is there an opportunity to put policy that has that TOD in somewhat of a relationship to the corridor, so that if there were ever to be some type of people mover again on this corridor, it could relate into a walkable community right there?
I must say, Mr. Bevan, I have less runway than you, so I'm hoping it's my lifetime, not yours. Councillor Manley.
Thank you, and through you. In the south with the CRD, does the track flow through reserve lands there, and what kind of relationship and what is happening there? Are they interested in the proposals that we've seen with Langford and other areas?
Yeah, it runs through Songhees and Kasupsum Esquimalt Nation. And I can't speak too much to that at this time, but we, as I said, the nations need to walk first. We are directed by the nations and absolutely where reversionary rights apply. And so, I think that's all I can say to that at this time, but we need to do everything with our nation partners.
And I imagine you've been discussing this with Nanaimo or for the Nanaimo area then?
Yeah, Sinamuk was at the all parties meeting, and we've met with Chief Wise once, and are available at any time, anywhere. They're very busy with so many exciting projects, so we get it that we're not high on the priority list, and we're absolutely available.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Much appreciate this. And certainly, I think, the discussion, Councillor Eastman raised this earlier today in discussion around the Woodgrove plan. It's certainly something to keep in the back of mind for staff about how that might well connect with the kind of use that you're talking about in the city boundaries. Councillor Eastman?
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's good to have in the back of our mind. I think it's also good to have at the front of our mind, especially with direction to staff while we're doing the city plan review. So I would like to make a notice of motion and potentially look for guidance on the best.
I was going to say, given
timing,
what I'd suggest, if you don't mind, is do a written notice of motion, unless you have one tonight, and then we'll have it heard at the next council meeting.
Yeah, I have a notice or a motion written that I could share.
Do it later at the appropriate spot on the agenda, Ms. Gurry? Or now?
Either or, but because it's a notice of motion, yes, you could do it under notice of motion on the agenda, and then that way it could show up in our minutes under notice of motion and be discussed and debated at the next meeting under other business.
All right, thank you. We'll save it for that portion of the meeting. Mr. Bevan, thank you very much. Much appreciated.
All right, thank you.
Councillor Gesselbrock.
Thanks, Mayor. Through you, I just want to say, Mr. Bevan, it's been welcome, your participation the last couple of years. I don't think it's about a year and a half that you've been in the role of the ICF, and appreciate the orientation that you've taken and the work to sort of highlight, the opportunities that do exist on the corridor, and also work with the very many different perspectives and needs of each of the different membership along it. It's a lot of diversity, and it's, recognizing the value of this asset and how it may look differently in each place. But thank you for your work and for coming here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
See ya.
We have no consent items. We have no delegations unrelated to agenda items. We're on to item 12, reports, and the first is video surveillance of civic property policy. Ms. Gurry, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. So the purpose of this report is to provide an updated video surveillance of civic property policy for Council's consideration. Of note, just to be noted, the original policy was established in 2008, so it's been in effect for some time, and it was put into policy and adopted by Council to provide guidelines for the use of video surveillance to enhance security and safety in, on, or near facilities owned or occupied by the city and used by the public. We did an update and brought it to Council, and Council approved the updated policy in 2021 to ensure it met with current privacy standards and responsibilities. So the reason that this updated policy is before you today is we did an audit in 2024 as required by the policy, as well as we do reviews of the policy from time to time. And this new updated policy reflects current practice as well as some information we found through the audit. So of note, some changes to this policy that have been updated and are before you are Section 4.0, Use, Access, and Security, has been updated to better align with the city's organizational chart and current use cases. We have updated the responsibilities regarding access, use, and compliance, and we've made minor edits and wording adjustments throughout for clarity. So I'm available to answer any questions you might have, and so is Mr. Kerry Ng, Director of IT and our CIO. So happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Ms. Gurry, and might I say, having read the material, it's very interesting, I think a good job. I compliment staff. Any Councillor Brown's moving the recommended motion? Seconded Councillor Armstrong. Any need for discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor and any opposed? Thank you very much. Motion carries. The next is 2026 Permissive Tax Exemption Bylaw. Ms. Mercer, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. So under the community charter, it identifies situations that council may exercise discretion in granting full or partial exemption from taxation. And these exemptions must be adopted by bylaw before October 31st of the preceding year of exemption. So in 2025, there were 2 council-added properties, and those were both for the Central Vancouver Island Multicultural Society, 3 units at 235 Bastion Street, and 1 unit at 155 Skinner Street. There were 5 properties removed for various reasons that they've relocated, sold, etc. 176 properties are listed within the bylaw, and the estimated 2025 value of the exemptions is approximately $2,591,000. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much. I'm not seeing any questions. Councillor Eastmere? If you're going to move the first motion, second reading, it's...
Sorry, I got confused because it's not under bylaws. I move that the Permissive Tax Exemption Bylaw 2025, number 7429, a bylaw to exempt certain land and buildings from taxation, pass first reading.
Seconded Councillor Thorpe. All those in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion carries.
Move that Permissive Tax Exemption Bylaw 2025, number 7429, pass second reading.
Seconded Councillor Thorpe. Any discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion carries.
Move that the Permissive Tax Exemption Bylaw 2025, number 7429, pass third reading.
Seconded Councillor Hemmons. All those in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you very much. The next is 12C, South End Cleanliness. Mr. Sims, please.
Thanks, Your Worship. This report in front of you that responds to a motion from council that you passed on July the 28th and just looks at various options of increasing the intensity of street cleaning services in the South End. I'll pass it over to Mr. Thompson and the report in front of you.
Mr. Thompson, good evening. Mr. LeBerge, thanks for coming. The floor is yours.
Good evening, Mayor, councillors. So I'm here to provide you with a summary of the report that's in front of you. As Mr. Sims mentioned, this is a follow-up to a motion on our July 28, 2025 council meeting. So the City of Nanaimo has had a full-time clean team since 2022, following a 2-year pilot. In 2024, the clean team was expanded from 1 team of 2 staff to 2 teams of 4 staff, providing 7-day-a-week coverage across the city. The teams are primarily attached to the community safety officers to assist with managing the impacts of social disorder as they occur. The original intention was to have them focused on the downtown core. However, as the impacts of social disorder have intensified, the teams have shifted their response. Having said that, the teams generally start their day at Diana Krall Plaza to make sure that the plaza and downtown are in good condition for the start of the business day. After that, they'll visit known hotspots, including Nob Hill Park and routes across the rest of downtown and the South End, including alleyways and encampment sites that might be in the area. The clean teams will also collect debris gathered by businesses or neighborhood associations that are related to encampment or sheltering activity. Each of the teams is equipped with a dedicated service truck that includes a dump box, a needle box, pressure washer, and various tools that might be required for any of the situations that the clean team might have to deal with. The 2 clean teams, the same as the CSOs, overlap Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday when they plan for more resource-intensive efforts. Within the parks, the frequency of service depends on the facilities at each park. For instance, Deverell Park is attended daily by custodial staff for washroom cleaning and garbage collection. Knowles Park is serviced weekly for general maintenance, and litter picking occurs on the same frequency as grass cutting in the summer months, so once every 3 to 5 days typically. And a porta potty was installed at Knowles Park earlier this year in response to issues. Following the pandemic, the city instituted a parks attendant program which included daily checks and maintenance in the downtown parks. However, that was discontinued. The city also engages a graffiti removal contractor for responding to graffiti in parks and within the road rights-of-way. This includes a proactive patrol through downtown, and typically they're able to respond to graffiti removal within 24 hours of being reported. And finally, the service providers are contributing to cleanup efforts around their facilities and modified some of their programs in response to reduce the amount of garbage generated by those programs. So staff have identified a number of items for council's consideration in addressing the areas included in the motion. Option 1 as presented includes reallocating clean team efforts to focus on the public rights-of-way, engaging contractors to provide more cleaning services and encampment cleanups within the parks, and engaging contractors to support larger encampment cleanups. And this will help ensure that Clean Team continue to provide citywide coverage without diverting resources from core areas. Council has already allocated additional funds in the 2025 Public Works budget for this, and Parks Operations has an existing budget that can be used. Option 2 is largely the same as Option 1 and adds a higher level of service for street sweeping on key corridors through the South End neighborhood. There are additional costs for this increased level of service. Option 3 is to maintain the status quo, and as always, Council has the option to provide direction to staff. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Questions for Mr. Thompson? Councillor Hemmons and Councillor Thorpe.
Thank you, and thank you to staff for the report. It was clear to me, obviously, the amount of investment and resources already happening in the South End and the Clean Team in general, so thank you for that. My question is regarding the 30,000 in the 2025 budget, the 75 allocated for next year, and then the 30 allocated to Parks, Rec, and Culture. So what I understand you saying, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is that if we reallocate those to contract services, we're going to free up the Clean Team between 15 and 25% to focus more on the South End. But those contracted services are already budgeted for, so this wouldn't be an increase to budget. The change between Option 1 and Option 2 is that there would be an increase to budget with the street sweeping. Is that, do I have that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you. I'll let others ask their questions.
Councillor Thorpe.
Your Worship, through you, I think my question is very similar to that of Councillor Hemmons, noting that as you've identified, really the only difference between Option 1 and Option 2 is the monthly street cleaning. But when I saw under point 5 in both Option 1 and point 2, deploying contractors, I'm taking now that that would mean new contractors as opposed to redeploying some contracted workers such as the graffiti removal person.
Correct. This would be an additional effort. The 30,000 was approved as part of the 2025 budget and came available in September for Public Works, so that money is in play, and Parks has their own budget for cleanup within the park. So we're just moving resources around to make sure that city staff are more visible in areas, core areas, as well as bringing contractors in to support them.
Right, and that 30,000 is the money that Councillor Hemmons just referred to in point 3 in the recommendations.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Manley.
Thank you, and through you. Currently, Bowen Park and Bevan Park, is that the Clean Team that's doing cleanups in those parks?
Through the mayor, yes, that is the Clean Team primarily that's doing that work.
Okay, and we'd just be shifting, as said already, to contractors in those places?
That's correct.
Yeah, I know, because we do see a lot of complaints about Bowen Park and Bevan Park from residents as well, and I want to make sure that we don't sacrifice one zone for another. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hemmons.
Your Worship, if there's no further questions, I'd like to move Option 1.
Is there a seconder? Seconded. Councillor Thorpe. Discussion?
If I may, really the only difference is the street sweeping, and given that this motion came from the community's request for increased cleaning services, I don't think, if you kind of cost that out, that's about $12,000 over the course of until we ended the service, and I don't think that street sweeping for 12,000 is going to meet the community's needs for cleanliness, and I appreciate everything being laid out. So I'm happy to support the reallocation and the increased services, but I don't think the street sweeping is really going to meet the need. Thank you.
Thank you. I must say, for what it's worth, I'm going to vote against option 1 because I think any improvement, including street sweeping, given the cost involved, is a potential improvement. And so for that reason, I'll be voting against the motion in the hopes that we might approve option 2, because I don't think the status quo is obviously an option. That's option 3. Councillor Brown.
Well, I was just going to go along with option 1, but I felt strongly for that option 2 as well. I think anything that helps, and would happily support that as well. So.
Thank you very much. Councillor Eastmere.
I just had a question about like actual capacity to increase street sweeping. Like how many street sweeping machines does the city have?
We have 2 large street sweepers and 1 small sidewalk sweeper.
Okay, so we would use both the street and the sidewalk sweeper in this area?
In this case, we'd be contracting out that additional level of service. Our street sweepers are pretty much fully utilized right now with the rest of the city and the street sweeping program throughout.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Thorpe.
Thanks, Your Worship. I'm going to stick with it through you, if I may. I'm going to stick with option 1, noting that the street sweeping we're referencing is monthly. And I'm sorry, I just don't see that as having a lot of benefit. I think money could be used for better purposes. Thanks.
Councillor Gesselbrock.
Through you. So just with the additional street sweeping service, is that street and sidewalk sweeping or just street sweeping?
As we've envisioned it here, it's strictly the roadway, so the large street sweepers. We were actually in clearing out brush from one of the alleyways to make sure we had enough clearance for a vehicle that size to get through.
Okay, great. Yeah, I guess like a lot of the litter and stuff, it's kind of like on the sidewalks and kind of in the thing, and like I know when the street sweeper goes by, the street itself looks really like brushed clean, but I don't see that being sort of a major thing. And we'd always use the 12 grand to hire somebody to come walk through and pick up garbage or address certain things. So I probably think it would be allocated a little bit more wisely than just brushing up the road, but thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Thorpe.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. And I need to ask, because maybe I've misread the recommendation. I just referred to monthly street sweeping, and then it goes on to refer to $2,000 per month for weekly service. So can I just get some clarification? Are we talking about a new monthly service potentially, or in fact a weekly service?
At that rate, it would be a weekly service. So there's been a typo in the report.
So when it says, I'm sorry if I may, Your Worship, implementing monthly street sweeping for key corridors, that sort of threw me off. We're talking about actually implementing.
I think it should have read weekly.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Himmons.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I also struggled with that clarity. I do want to note that this motion originated from the neighborhood and from the neighborhood's priorities in the neighborhood association meeting. Street sweeping was not included. At $12,000, this is about $500 a pass. And as Councillor Gesselbrock said, I think what the neighborhood really struggles with is litter on the sidewalks, litter in people's residences, litter in business doorways. It's not actually the street. And so I actually see this as a cost that the neighborhood hasn't asked for. But through this motion, if approved, we are increasing clean services by 15 to 25%. So we are doing something really good here. It's just whether we want to save $12,000 or not. Thank you.
Councillor Perino.
Thank you, Your Worship. But a question through you to Mr. Thompson. So if we did not do the street sweeping, could we add that money to more of some of the cleaning that the community has been looking for?
I'm going to call on Ms. Mercer to help out with that.
I guess the reason why I'm asking the question is, if street sweeping was not requested Why have we put that in particular?
It is, through your worship, it's just part of the package of sanitation and cleanliness when we talk about litter and debris around neighborhoods.
Okay.
It can get blown into the roadways, so depending on just the nature of the package and the suite of options that we put together, we find it to be a valuable level of service in some areas.
Okay, and so I guess my question through you again is, Mr. Thompson, you're the expert in this field. Do you feel that the street sweeping is a necessity? Sorry, I'm going to put you on the spot.
That's a very unfair question for staff.
I know. I guess, because I wouldn't have thought of the street sweeping as being the ideal piece of the package. But then you've put it there, so I'm thinking, okay, what am I missing?
Like I said, it's part of the suite of solutions that we have in our toolkit for these kinds of scenarios. So if council wants to consider adding it and feel that it might be valuable, it's available.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Eastmere.
Thank you. Yeah, given the discussion, I'm looking forward to supporting option 1 as moved by Councillor Hemmons, and I'm also looking forward to the Sunday from 9:30 till 11:30, the Sika litter pickup. So actually going and helping out the community, and it's actually amazing how much work this neighborhood association puts in and does these litter pickups regularly. So they're certainly putting in the work, and I'm happy to support them with this extra funding.
Thank you. So the motion on the floor is option 1, which doesn't include the monthly or the weekly street sweeping at $2,000 per month. All those in favor of the motion? Councillors Armstrong, Eastmere, Gesselbrock, Hemmons. Oh, well, why don't we just say it? I'm opposed. I want the bigger option. I'm glad we didn't spend too much time, though, on the $12,000 discussion. The next item is the telecommunications. Mr. Thompson, thank you very much. Mr. LeBarge. The next is telecommunications facility, 1724 Northfield Road. Mr. Holm.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, just very briefly, this is a request for concurrence for a telecommunication tower property on Northfield Road, 1724 Northfield. This is a proposed 32-meter tower. The request is from TELUS, represented by Cypress Land Services. The proponent has followed Innovation Science Economic Development Canada's consultation policy and received one comment for notification that took place within an area 3 times the tower height from the proposed location. I understand that the proponent representative is available to answer questions. I'm happy to take questions as well. And recommendation is to provide concurrence. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So Mr. Martlett's online to answer any questions related to this matter. I hope. There's a little black screen spot there. There you are, Mr. Marlett. Pardon me, not Martlett, Marlett. Marlett was the name of the U of A paper 1,000 years ago when I was a student. If there are questions, Councillor Perino?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Just a very quick question. Are there gaps in service in that area?
Yes, through the worship, there are gaps in service in that industrial area and to the residential area to the south. So this will improve services for TELUS and Bell customers in the area.
Okay, thank you.
This is one of, I think, about 7 or 8 new projects throughout the city that you all have probably seen over the last year or year and a half come to council. So TELUS is really bolstering up their network services throughout Nanaimo. Over the next year, I'd say they'll build most of these projects out.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Someone care to make the recommended motion? Move Councillor Brown, seconded Councillor Perino. All those in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Mr. Marlett, thank you for your attendance tonight. That was an easy performance.
Yep. Good evening.
Mr. Holm, appreciated. The next is rezoning application number RA 526-2221 Bowen Road. And we have no report on this one because it's one of our new things, I guess, is the way I describe it. Councillor Eastmere, if you wish to make the recommended motion.
So I'll motion that zoning amendment bylaw 2025 number 4500.242 to rezone a portion of 2221 Bowen Road from Community Service 1 CS1 to Mixed Use Corridor, Core 2, pass first reading.
Seconded Councillor Perino. All those in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Councillor Eastmere.
Motion that the bylaw pass second reading.
Seconded Councillor Manley. Any discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion carries.
Motion that the bylaw pass third reading.
Seconded Councillor Hemmons. All those in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion carries.
Motion that council direct staff to secure the conditions related to zoning amendment bylaw 2025 number 4500.242 as outlined in the conditions of rezoning section of the staff report titled rezoning application number RA 526-2221 Bowen Road dated 2025 September 15th prior to final adoption.
Seconded Councillor Armstrong. All those in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you very much. The next item is item 14, one that I'd request to be put on the list. You've got a copy of the draft op-ed. Received correspondence from Mr. Rosenhart, the principal consultant for Counterpoint Communications, re-endorsement of an op-ed piece on advocacy for development of BC's natural resources that's been prepared by Mayor Dahl of Campbell River. And I'm asking for support for this. I'll make the motion first and see if I have a seconder, and that is that the mayor, on behalf of council, sign the op-ed prepared by Counterpoint Communications, Inc., calling for advocacy for development of BC's natural resources. Do I have a seconder? Seconded Councillor Perino. If I may speak to it briefly, I'll be speaking at a panel in Victoria on these issues. Generally, at UBCM, Mayor Dahl has been leading a bit of a charge, and there'll be a panel discussion. He's asking for support for his op-ed piece. I appreciate there will be differences of opinion on this, but basically the thrust of it is to suggest that the province needs to move forward with natural resource extraction, including, where appropriate, faster approvals of responsible natural resource projects, increasing the momentum for First Nations economic participation in resource development, stronger can-do advocacy from all levels of government, active involvement of local government and First Nations from the beginning and not as an afterthought. I don't intend to spend a long evening talking about this. I hope you support it, and I'll turn it over for discussion. Councillor Gesselbrock.
Thank you. I'm not in support of supporting this op-ed. I do think it's a no-brainer that we need to improve economic development in our province, and there's a grave need also to look towards the future and develop an economy that's, one, is environmentally sustainable and provides jobs that are future-proof. And I think there seems to be an effort under the current economic concerns. I think, by traditional industries that may be struggling in forestry, around LNG, to kind of go back to how things were. And I think that, given where this is coming from, I think this is part of it, and I don't think we have any business to be supporting this. I think that there's lots of ways that we can tell the provincial government to move forward with different economic development opportunities, but I think a lot of this is also trying to roll back certain regulations that have been long fought for that are moving us towards a more environmentally sustainable community. There's many aspects of this letter that I do support, but there's also other ones that I feel that it's part of the same old and not really moving us forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Manley, Armstrong, and Brown.
Yeah, thank you. I'm disappointed it doesn't mention anything about raw log exports. We've exported 2.7 million cubic meters of raw logs from the east coast of Vancouver Island. We saw a ship leave here last week. We have a ship outside here being loaded right now. Raw logs, those are jobs leaving our community. It's not about more resource extraction, it's about using our resources responsibly. I also see the BC government approving projects for Trump cronies, the PRGT pipeline for more LNG exports owned by supporters of Donald Trump. This is not how we deal with a president who is undermining our economy. We need to be using those resources to maximize industry in this province by maximizing our resources and ensuring that we get good paying jobs for the resources that we have and stop shipping off our resources. I'm not gonna support this as is. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Armstrong.
Thank you. I'll be supporting. I think the government does need to start engaging with First Nations, and I have the utmost faith that the First Nations will be looking at the environmental concerns that others at this table are concerned about. I also want to look at the fact that the provincial debt is over $155 billion, and if we don't start doing something to grow our economy, it's going to continue to grow, and it's going to be the kids of people at this table who are not going to be finding jobs or even struggle to survive. So I think it's something that can be looked at. It's not committing us to anything other than to open discussions with First Nations, and I'm sure environmental groups will be part of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Brown.
Thanks, Your Worship. Thanks for bringing it forward. Always appreciate when someone brings something forward, and happy to get that on the floor. However, I won't be supporting it. I think probably everyone can make a point one way or the other. I just think that this is the kind of stuff, and this is not a criticism of you, Your Worship, that makes UBCM watered down, and it's not the appropriate venue. And every year, there's so many resolutions and panels that have nothing to do with our core business as municipalities or local governments. So I won't be supporting it for that reason. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Thorpe.
Thank you, Your Worship. I will be supporting this. I think in the past, my impression is that this council at times has given lip service to the idea of supporting natural resources, but when it comes time to do something even remotely concrete, like send a letter, we back away from doing that. This calls for advocacy from all levels of government in the responsible development of natural resources with the active involvement of local government and First Nations. I don't see anything wrong in that, and I'm happy to support it.
Thank you very much. Councillor Himmons.
Thank you, Worship. I always struggle with putting my name on something that someone else has written about a topic that I'm not actually mandated to have an opinion on, which is this letter. So when I read through it, the sentence that really struck me that is going to cause me to not vote in support is the sixth bullet point, and it says, we cannot put up our own barriers in front of strengthening our economy when the world needs our copper, our LNG, our lumber, our salmon, and many, many other exports that flow through our Pacific gateways. I agree with all of that, just like Councillor Gesselbrock said, but I don't know exactly what they mean by our salmon. Is this an advocacy piece for open net pens? Is this, like, what are we actually weighing in on? And so I appreciate you bringing it forward. I struggle with these in general, and this one, based on that bullet point, I can't support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will simply say this. For me, the message from this op-ed piece is quite simply a way to address the divide that exists in our province between urban and rural British Columbia. All of the things that are mentioned in terms of copper, LNG, lumber, salmon, etc., are all produced in rural British Columbia, often on lands that are the subject now of First Nations legal claims that provide employment in remote communities and are indeed, practically speaking, the only option for any reasonable level of employment. It's for that reason that I'm happy to see these matters debated in public and at the UBCM, which is obviously a place where local politicians, and particularly rural British Columbian politicians, will have an opportunity to speak to it. Having said that, all those in favor Councillors Armstrong, Mayor Krog, Councillor Thorpe, Councillor Perino, and those opposed, Councillors Eastmere, Gesselbrock, Hemmons, Brown, and Manley. The motion is defeated. Thank you very much. And I'm going to assume, under notices of motion, we'll deal with Councillor Manley's motion first, or that's just your first notice, isn't it? Yes. Yeah, thank
Your
you.
worship, I would just like to correct the address. It's incorrect. I believe the correct legal address that I just think I
Yes.
confirmed is 933 Park Avenue, not 945. So that'll be updated next week when it comes before you to be debated.
Very good, thank you. And Councillor Eastmere, you were going to make a notice of motion?
Yes, thank you. I've provided the wording to Ms. Gurry and to our CAO, but I'll read it out. As part of the city plan review, direct staff to seek opportunities and create policies that support and advance planning of transit-oriented development centers, including Country Club and Woodgrove, in a way that provides clear connections to the island corridor, which may be used for corridor-related transit in the future.
Thank you very much. Any other business? And I'm going to assume there's nothing on the question period sheet.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, Councillor Hemmons, seconded Councillor Perino. All those in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you very much, Council.